Single family homes in Calgary are on a tear. We have gone up $13,000 in the last 60 days, going back to August 2024 prices. Is this the beginning of an increase all throughout the year in 2025, or is this just a little bit of a hiccup because everyone in the comments seems to think we're going to have a crash? Well, let's get into it. My name is Adam Fife, your Calgary Realtor. I really want to bring to your attention the links in the description here. I try to provide as much value as I can. So if you're looking to read the PDF files on your own, they're free. If you're looking at booking a call, if you want to know what your home is valued at, if you want to know what's going on in Calgary, maybe you need some professionals in the city to help you do whatever it is that you need. I update these things on a regular basis. So if you are looking for some information, some value, go ahead, click the links, and let's get into it. Now, the City of Calgary has written a little blurb about single family homes, so if you want to read it on your own, go ahead, skip to the next chapter. Sales in February slowed to 765 units, nearly 20% lower than last year. New listings increased by nearly 60% year over year to about 1,300 units. The decline in sales coupled with the gain in new listings drove inventory levels higher, reaching almost 1,700 units, a 61% increase in levels compared to 2024. Months of supply improved across all districts compared to levels seen last year, although the recovery is uneven across the city. The city center and northeast districts continue to trend towards more balanced conditions, while south and northwest districts remain supply constrained approximately 1.6 months. So overall, market's slowing down. But if you start to break it down into the quadrants, you'll notice that there's actually little pockets in the city that are still relatively hot. And we're going to talk about that in a second. So the detached home price in Calgary is now $760,500, up almost $10,000 from last month and almost $40,000 from last year. That is a year-over-year increase of 5.1%. Last month, it was over 6%, or at 7% year over year. This month is 5% year over year. So we're going to touch on that in a second and why that's important. Now, I want to remind you that there is benchmark attributes for every single quadrant. I say this in every single video. The link's in the description. Go ahead, click the detached. If you want to know what the price point is and what you get for that price point in that quadrant, so here's the east as an example, this is what you would get. So every single quadrant has slightly different attributes, right? As an example, 1955 built in city center, 1972 built in east. So when you're looking at the detached price, let's just remember there's attributes actually included in that. So the link is in the description. Go help yourself. Now, the City of Calgary detailed sales and inventory levels. So we can see that we have rebounded quite nicely, basically going right back to August of last year price points. Now, I know a lot of people out there want to see Calgary try to slow down and try to decrease in price because we need it. There's people in the comments that say, we need to see some sort of decrease here. But the city is just not slowing down. We are seeing a slowdown in sales. We are seeing a pickup in inventory. There's a lot of uncertainty in political realm of things, and there's tariffs and there's all these other political pressures being put into this. But people are still hungry for single family homes in Calgary. Our affordability is still relatively there, especially compared to not just Toronto, Vancouver, but the surrounding areas of them, right? You can see that, last year we were on an absolute roller coaster where sales and inventory were neck and neck if sales was actually over inventory. This year it's a different story. So are we going to see some crazy price increases like we did last year? Probably not. But are we going to see some steady price growth throughout 2025? I would still say yes. And we can talk about that and go ahead and comment your questions. And while I'm bringing up comments, I just want to bring up this. This is hilarious. I read all the comments as fast as I can. And it's funny when people get mad at me and they say, oh, I'm shadow banning. Like, I don't even know how to do that. So like that comment, love that comment, but no. Ask your questions. Go ahead and, express your thoughts, and you will notice I'll have a conversation with you, but I don't ban people, okay? You have your opinions, I have mine. I see the market for what it is, and you get to tell me what you see as well. So let's continue on here. So this is the same information as in the previous slide, but in a numerical value. You can see that $760,000 is the benchmark price. If we look at the benchmark price of last year, you can see that we're only $7,000 off our highs that Calgary has ever seen. Are we going to see those increases over the next 3 months? There's a potential of that, right? I think that there is a lot of uncertainty with tariffs and there's a lot of uncertainty with our political realm. There's elections coming up and stuff like that. But the sense that I get is optimism for Alberta in general. There's a lot of good things going on. You need to look through the noise and actually understand, what's going on with our provincial budget, which I will touch on one day. what's going on with our municipality and how that's actually coming to fruition, and what is going on within the city, because there's general optimism for businesses in Alberta, right? There's a lot of good things coming down the pipeline in a sense. So we just need to make sure that we're not trying to put our blinders on too tight, but there are a lot of good things coming. So you can see that, the days on market is 28 days, very similar to last year. 760,000. We had 700. We're just not talk about that because we're going to talk about that in a second. The biggest thing I want to notice is the price difference between the 28 days on market and then the price difference, like I just tried to say, of what it is last year. We're very, very close, and I can see it coming up to that relatively quick. So let's look at the actual market itself. So this is the detached market. You can see February of 2025, so this past month, we hit $615 million in sales volume, down around 17%. New listings is up 6%, which is almost 1,300, with inventory at 1,700, which is really great to see. We want to see more inventory. We want to see more selection. We want to allow people opportunities to buy homes, right? Months of supply is 2.2. It's still a seller's market. It's obviously inching towards more balanced conditions, but there are pockets, like mentioned, that are still like a deep seller's market, right? Sales to new listing ratio is still 60%, right? If you put your property up on the market, you price it correctly, you're looking at what other benefits and features of other properties are, your marketing is on point, you still have a really good chance that you're going to sell within 30 days. Sales to new list price is 99%, so it's still relatively close to 100. It wasn't over asked like it was last year, but we're still seeing quite a bit of movement there. I'm not going to touch on the year-to-date stuff quite yet, but we'll talk about that in future months. So single family homes in Calgary. This is so interesting. I actually did this. You can see I got a double there. I actually put in the benchmark prices. So this was a hot year for Calgary where we saw over 3,000 sales in the month of February. But the benchmark price for the same attributes was $596,400, right? Fast forward to where we are now, and of course, we're at $760,000. So there's a huge difference there. I've had some people question, why there were so many sales in this year of 2022. Well, Alberta was calling, had a really successful campaign that was basically marketing Ontario for people to move here. And that was very successful because for $600,000, you can get a very realistic single family home in Calgary. And then Calgary took off. Okay. So we're still below the 10-year average, but we're still relatively strong for the month of February. Okay. Well, now we start to look at down sales by price range, right? The red bar is 2025. You can see that the majority bulk of sales are in that $600,000 price range. So if you're in the $600,000 price range, you're looking for a detached home, you're probably going to see a little bit more competition, right? Compared to other property types in the city. Again, very large difference from 2022, especially when you start to look at the $400,000 price point. You can see every single year we've dropped considerably. Now, total sales by price range. Again, this is breaking it down, but more into the quadrants. So we're not going to touch on that too much, but just touching on the $600,000 price range, you can see South Calgary, the southern quadrant of Calgary, for those of you who are interested in knowing what that is. If we actually scroll down to the PDF, I'm pretty sure it's all the way at the bottom, you can see that technically South Calgary is right here, the orange. So again, go ahead, click the PDF file, read that on your own, and understand what those quadrants are, because they're not the street abbreviations. They're actually broken down into quadrants. As an example, City Center has all 4 street abbreviations within that quadrant, right? So that's that. Now, sales by property type, again, just kind of looking at this, South Calgary, just kind of breaking it down to a number. It was about 190 sales compared to some other apartment style and different property types in this, but we're only looking at the blue for single family homes. You can see 189, most active, South Calgary, followed by North, right? And then what would be the next one? Northwest, technically. So City of Calgary, detached new listings. So the new listings is definitely something that we want to keep an eye on. The new listings for the apartment sector is going to absolutely explode in 2025. I'm pretty confident about that. And we are seeing a healthy comeback of new listings in the single family market. So you can see obviously in 2023, 2024, there wasn't that many new listings. We were suffering from not having enough listings come to the market. But now you can see we're starting to inch back up into a little bit more of a healthier kind of range, right? 2,500 new listings per month. We want to have more new listings. We want to encourage more options for people. We don't want people to feel stressed in trying to buy those properties. We want that. I don't think we're going to explode into the new listing sector, especially with a lot of development not being single family homes. A lot of development is townhouses, is apartments. So in those sectors, we're probably going to see a lot more new listings. But single family homes, I just don't see a big increase in new listings, especially with a lot of the single family homes being ripped down and getting built into townhouses. So what is going on with the inventory? So the inventory, this is total inventory in the entire city. So this is including apartments, townhouses, semi-detached, and single family, you can see that we are actually, again, coming up to a little bit more of a healthier a level compared to what we've seen in years past, right? 2021, we had a little bit more, and then 2022 to 2025 was a very hectic time for the single family market. So we are seeing a little bit more inventory totally, and I would imagine we're going to see this creep up quite a bit, again, talking about those townhouses and apartments, which is not for this video. Now, when we look at the inventory levels, again, we're kind of looking at this 300,000, this is the apartment market, is kind of pulling up that inventory in total for the city. Now, you can see everything else is relatively in line, give or take 100 listings. If we start to break it down into the colors, right, you can start to see, the, city center, $400,000 price range has quite a bit. You can see that the northeast for the $600,000 has quite a bit. So you can kind of break it down a little bit if you're really curious about what's going on, but there's better graphs than this in the future. So obviously, the market's slowing down. The months of supply and the trend are continuing to increase, which is a welcoming piece of information. So many people think that realtors just want prices to go up and up and up and up, but that's just not the case. Yes, you get some bad apples. Yes, you have some people who are heavily invested in the real estate market, but I believe in a fair market, and we want to have inventories increase so that we can have a little bit more comfort. It is stressful to actually try to advise clients in certain circumstances where it's just hella tight and there's just no options and people are getting stressed and losing their minds and getting upset and frustrated and mad. It's not a fun time. You definitely want to be in a little bit more of a balanced condition. It's better for the economy. We do not want everyone to be so reliant on real estate equities, because when the bubble crashes and bursts, a lot more people get screwed over than if they diversify their portfolios, which is strongly recommended. So for those of you who are interested in what your home is valued at because the prices have gone crazy, go ahead and actually scan the QR code. The QR code will bring you to the auto home evaluation tool, which is super, super slick. It's me and my team that'll look at it. I haven't called a lot of people. I need to call you more. I will probably shoot you a text message, say hello. It's me. It's calling. I will say hello. I will have a conversation with you. If you're kicking tires, that's fine. If you're looking at trying to get a renewal on a mortgage, you're trying to pull some equity, that's fine. Let me help you try to guide you through that process. Do I get paid for that? No, but I'm willing to actually provide that services and values to those people who actually trust me to provide them with information on YouTube, as well as go ahead and scanning this QR code. So let's go and look at the breakdown for the entire city. So let's actually go over here first before we jump too far ahead. So this is single family homes in the entire city. So you can see that sales to new listings ratios on average 60%. You can see South actually saw over 70, again indicating pretty strong seller's market. Right, Northwest still seeing closer to 70. Yada, 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 months of supply. Again, this is a really good indicator to showcase just a high level of how fast things are moving within a given period of time, right? You can see that city center and northeast especially, is in a buyer's market. There's a lot of options for people to choose from. There's about 317 homes left over at the end of the month, which is a very large difference, over double, compared to what you would see in West as well as Northwest. So under 50% sales to new listing ratio in Northeast, be a little bit more cautious if you're going on the market. Don't just look at the active listings on the market and think that you can go at or above those list prices, right? You need to be able, if you have better features and benefits than those other properties, sure, you got good marketing, sure. But if only 48% of homes are selling, right, and that's a continued trend in 2025, as a buyer, you have a lot of options to choose from. Take your time and find something that works for you. As a seller, you really want to make sure that you're looking at the market in total and you're actually making decisions based off of what is happening in that market and not trying to push the limits as to what you think you could get and then having to stay on the market for a very long period of time. So if we look here, this is the actual price point. I manually fill this in every month. You can see that a lot of quadrants like city center, northwest especially, south and southeast all saw relatively large increases in price. West actually saw a decrease of $3,000, right? Even though they have, a 60% sales and listing ratio, even though they're at 2 months of supply, there's still a little bit of a price decline in that, right? It's a very expensive market. It's not for everyone, right? So I think that people are negotiating a little harder and they can actually get those price decreases like they cannot right now in Northwest. Look at the last 2 months. You can see a $40,000 increase, massive rebound from the winter slumps in the Northwest. Actually, what I wanted to do, and I didn't actually take a screenshot of it, if we go to Northwest here, this is the this is the quadrant in its entirety. You can see that from June, basically May, they saw massive price decreases. This is total residential, by the way. This is not single family. They saw massive decreases in price, dropping the values from 660 all the way down to 620. And now they're seeing that rebound. So are they going to completely rebound? Are they going to go past that? Northwest is fairly sought after. But I mean, when you start to see this, you ask, okay, well, what the hell happened? They had a massive slowdown in the last Q3 and Q4 of last year, and now they're seeing a little bit of a rebound. So we can keep an eye out for that. You know, you can start to break it down in Northwest. You can see a lot of sales actually year to date are actually in that 800 to 9 or to million. So there's 200 segments in there. So anyways, let's continue on, because I feel like I'm rambling and I don't want these videos to be too long, because I appreciate your time and I want to make sure that this is just value driven. So this is the benchmark year-over-year price growth chart. So this is just year-over-year price change, right? So remember in that first slide where I just showed you the decrease from last month, it was about 1.9% decrease that we saw. It's still a 5% year-over-year, but from previous month, it dropped 2%. Now, when we look at this, you know, people think that we're going to see negative year-over-year growth because we were at such highs of last year. You can see we saw something similar in 2022 where the year-over-year growth was still positive month over month, but we dropped all the way down to about 2-3% year-over-year growth, and then it shot right back up to around 10 to 15. Right? When we start to look at this chart here, you can see that these are our highs and this is our current trend. If things stay the same and they actually proceed in a similar direction as what we've saw over the last 30 days, I would imagine we're probably going to exceed this price point within the next 3 months. Okay, that is a guesstimation based off of what I see in the market. Right, when we start to look at the $500,000 price point, this is the MLS. You can start to see the $500,000 price point. Look at all of the pendings and actives and sold. Right now, we're just going off of, we're filtering or sorting by the date listed on market. So these are obviously 2 days on market. You can see over the last 30 days, right, a lot, I would say 80% of things are sold, if not pending, right? Obviously, you've got some new stuff here, 3-4 days, but they're so new on the market, give them some time. You start to look at the $500,000 to $600,000 price point. You start to see there's a couple pendings here, there's a couple actives, quite a bit of move forward here. We go over to the 600,000s, right? Starts to slow down a little bit, right? You can start to see a lot of pendings, but not a lot of solds. You go over to the 700,000s, similar idea. A couple pendings, couple solds, lots of actives in this market, right? You go over to the 800s, right? Similar things. You start to slow down. You get actually a little bit here and there. A little bit more than the 700s by doing a super fast view. 900s, right? You see a lot, actually more than the 7 and 600s. You're seeing quite a bit. And then the million plus. So why am I showing you this? I do this for people who book calls with me. If you're curious about what's going on in the market, you want to look at the data, let's dive in. I have found so much enjoyment of actually going through the data, sharing what this would look like for you and how this could benefit or negatively affect you if you plan on getting in the market. And that's where I have shined the most. So where is Calgary going? I would make assumptions in 2025 we're going to see price increases. We're most likely going to go past the highs that we saw last year if things stay in the same trajectory. If shit hits the fan in the United States and it just gets absolutely wild and we lose jobs, obviously we're going to see price decreases. I personally do not think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be a federal election that's going to bring new optimism to oil and gas and other industries in Alberta. I think our premier is doing a pretty good job about what is going on with things that are happening in our province, and Calgary is situated for growth. So with that in mind, I am not shadow banning you. Go ahead and ask your questions. This effing goof is shadow banning my comments. Bro, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So go ahead, comment your questions. I got a pretty damn good laugh from that. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.